Welcome back to Le Podcast de Philippe. You know, today we're going to be looking at something bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah.
This whole world of AI jobs in France.
Okay.
You'd think, with all this hype
All the excitement.
about artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
the job market
Right.
would be exploding.
Yeah.
But
It's oddly.
it's surprisingly quiet, especially for permanent positions.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And we'll be kind of exploring this through this really interesting lens
Yeah.
of gender equity in AI.
Okay.
And we're basing this on a really fascinating new study from Randstad.
Great.
And to help us really kind of unpack all of this, we have an expert with us today.
It's interesting because we're not just talking about filling these empty slots. We're really talking about like shaping the whole future of an industry. And if we don't do it carefully, we risk bringing all these like existing inequalities into this brand new field.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's not just theoretical.
Yeah.
Even before we dive into the Randstad study, I was really struck by the commentary from Philip Waterloose,
Okay.
kind of a major voice in French tech.
Yeah.
And he observed that despite all of the interest in AI,
Yeah.
there are barely any AI-specific jobs
Right.
posted on platforms like Indeed.
That's interesting.
That's really strange.
It is strange.
I mean, that lack of like specific dedicated AI roles is really telling.
Yeah.
It suggests that companies both big and small are kind of hesitant
Right.
to fully commit to AI,
Yeah.
even on a part-time basis for research and development.
Uh-huh.
You know, like
They're dipping their toes in.
they're dipping their toes in.
But not diving.
Not diving in head first.
Yeah, exactly. So let's unpack that hesitancy a bit
Okay.
in light of what Randstad found.
Yeah.
There's studies called Understanding the Talent Shortage, AI and Equity,
Okay.
and it really explores this whole issue of gender, age, and disability disparities.
Yeah. When it comes to AI training and employment.
Yeah.
And they surveyed, a huge number of professionals.
Wow.
Globally, 12,000.
Okay.
And then they analyzed over 3 million professional profiles.
That's a lot of data.
A lot of data.
Yeah,
And the results are pretty startling.
I bet so.
One of the biggest things that jumps out
Yeah.
is this massive gender gap when it comes to AI expertise.
Okay.
71% of the professionals
Wow.
who have AI skills listed on their profiles
Okay.
are men.
So that leaves only...
It leaves only 29% for women.
Yeah.
That's a 42-point difference.
It's a huge gap.
It's huge.
It is.
And what's even more concerning
Yeah.
is that this gap doesn't just stop at who has the skills.
Right.
It goes into who actually gets access
It's the tools.
to the AI tools and training that their employer offers.
Right.
Only 33% of women said that they received AI training from their employers,
It's compared to?
compared to 38% of men.
So it's...
So we're seeing a multi-layered issue here. It's like acquiring the skills.
Uh-huh.
It's accessing the training and then actually being able to use those skills
On workplace.
in the workplace.
Yeah, it's multi-layered.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, like, is this gap because women are interested?
Right.
Or are there, like, systemic barriers
Uh,
at play? It's like we need to dig deeper.
Go beyond the numbers.
Absolutely.
And the Randstad study does touch on that, especially when we talk about age disparities.
Okay.
They found that younger generations, like Gen Z,
Okay.
have way more access to AI training,
Right.
and they're more likely to use AI in their jobs
Mm-hmm.
compared to, say, baby boomers.
Okay. Yeah.
Only 22% of baby boomers said they had access to AI training
Versus?
versus 45% of Gen Z.
That's a big difference.
That's huge.
It is.
So this generational difference is
Yeah.
really interesting because it suggests that it's not just about individual choices.
Yeah.
It's about the environment
Right.
that people are entering the workforce in.
Like the whole context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younger generations have grown up
Yeah.
with tech being so integrated into their lives.
It's just part of their world.
It's just part of their world.
Yeah.
So then the question becomes, are companies
Adapting
their strategy?
Their training and recruitment.
Yeah. Are they keeping up
With these shifts.
with these shifts?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Because if they're stuck in these old ways,
Right.
they're going to miss out
On a huge pool of potential.
on a ton of talent.
Absolutely.
And speaking of untapped potential,
Yes.
the study also had some interesting findings about people with disabilities.
Oh, tell me about that.
So this is where the results were surprisingly positive.
Oh, interesting.
So people with disabilities
Uh-huh.
are actually more likely to use AI for problem solving at work.
Oh, wow.
55%
Okay.
compared to 39%.
For people without...
For people without disabilities,
So they're embracing it.
they're embracing it. And they're also more optimistic about AI's potential to actually improve workplace equity.
Oh, that's great.
Especially,
In what ways?
well, through reducing bias in hiring
Okay.
and personalizing training.
So they see it as a way
We put level playing field.
to make things more fair.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
It is.
It's like tech can be this force for inclusion,
Right.
but you have to use it
You
intentionally.
have to be deliberate about it.
You have to be deliberate about it.
Yeah.
But getting back to the gender gap,
Yeah.
it's not a universal issue.
Okay.
The study highlighted some exceptions to this trend.
Interesting. Tell me more.
One really interesting one is India.
Okay.
In India, women are actually more likely to be offered AI training
Really?
and given access to AI tools
And men.
than men.
That's the opposite of what we've been seeing.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
And interestingly,
Yeah.
India also has a really high rate of AI use in the workplace.
So maybe
Yeah.
make you wonder.
Maybe they're doing something right. If they're doing something right
Yeah.
when it comes to addressing talent shortages through AI.
That's a great observation.
So maybe there are lessons to be learned there.
Definitely.
But there are. The study also reveals some areas where the disparities are even more pronounced,
Okay.
particularly younger women with disabilities.
Okay.
They face a lot more barriers
And then.
than their older counterparts.
Right. So it's not
That's just one thing.
just gender. It's not just age.
Yeah.
We have to think about
It's intersectional.
intersectionality.
So we've uncovered this really complex AI landscape in France,
Yeah.
where you have this excitement for the tech
Right.
coexisting with a real reluctance
To fully embrace it.
to fully embrace it in the job market,
Yeah.
coupled with
Always.
all these equity issues.
It's complex.
It's complex.
It is.
But thankfully, the Randstad study
Yeah.
doesn't just leave us hanging with these problems.
Okay. Do it.
They offer some really concrete recommendations for promoting equity in AI adoption.
Good. Let's hear them.
So one of the first ones
Okay.
is this idea of rethinking upskilling.
What do they mean by that?
So they're saying companies need to offer AI training opportunities
To
everyone,
not just the select few.
not just a select few,
Okay.
all employees.
Got it.
It's about helping everyone adapt
All right. Yeah.
to these advancements,
To stay relevant.
to stay relevant.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
give them the tools
Giving everyone a toolbox
to succeed in the future.
for the future.
Yeah,
But you can't just hand over the tools
right.
without any guidance.
Instructions.
Right.
Yeah.
So their second recommendation
Okay.
is to really explore both the possibilities
Okay.
and limitations of AI.
So it's like
It's about using it responsibly
responsibly, ethically.
and ethically,
Yeah,
addressing potential biases in algorithms,
right. Making sure.
and guiding your employees
Right.
towards using it effectively.
Right. AI should,
And the AI should complement human intelligence.
human intelligence not replace it.
Exactly. It's a tool, not a magic bullet.
Not a magic bullet.
Right.
And a tool that needs to be used
Thoughtfully,
thoughtfully.
especially given all the potential for bias.
Absolutely. Their third recommendation
Yeah.
is really about adopting a personalized approach.
What do they mean by that?
So this goes back to what we were talking about with intersectionality.
Right.
Companies need to recognize that different groups of people
Face different challenges.
face different challenges.
Okay.
And they need to tailor their AI training and adoption strategies
Accordingly.
accordingly.
So moving away from like a one-size-fits-all
Yeah.
approach
It's about
to
acknowledging
the
the
diverse needs
and experiences of their workforce.
and experiences.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah. And finally,
Okay.
the study emphasizes this importance of collaboration, breaking down silos,
Organizations,
institutions.
society as a whole.
Yeah.
It takes a village. It takes a village to close those skill gaps
Right.
and diversify the AI workforce.
It's a collective effort.
It's a collective effort.
Yeah.
So we've got these practical recommendations,
Uh-huh.
a better understanding of the challenges.
Right.
We even have a potential model for success in India.
Yeah. That's promising.
But where does this leave us in France,
Yeah.
where companies seem to be lagging behind
In AI job creation?
in AI job creation?
Right.
It's this weird paradox,
It's paradoxical, all this buzz,
but not a lot of action.
but not a lot of action.
Yeah.
But
Maybe this lag,
this lag is an opportunity.
an opportunity. How so?
Well, if French companies are being more cautious,
Uh-huh.
maybe they have a chance to get things right.
from the beginning.
From the beginning.
Learn from them.
Learn from the mistakes
The mistakes and biases.
that other countries have already made.
Yeah, it's
And build
a
something
more equitable.
more equitable and inclusive.
From the ground up.
From the ground up.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Instead of playing catch up.
They could leapfrog ahead
Leapfrog ahead.
and become a leader
In ethical
and inclusive AI.
and inclusive AI development.
That's a really thought-provoking idea.
I'd love to hear what our listeners think.
Yeah.
Could this be France's chance to set a new standard?
It's definitely a possibility,
Yeah.
and it's a conversation we need to be having.
Right.
The future of AI isn't just about algorithms and data.
Right.
It's about people.
And if we don't include everyone,
We're all going to miss out.
we're all going to miss out.
Yeah.
So listeners, we want to hear from you.
Share your thoughts.
Share your thoughts on social media.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube.
For more insightful discussions.
To more insightful discussions.
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting to think about what's driving this hesitancy
From French companies?
from French companies.
Yeah.
It's not just the money.
Right.
It's a knowledge gap there, too.
Yeah, there's like a fear of the unknown.
Yeah, AI seems so complex.
Yeah.
Maybe companies just don't know where to start.
They feel lost.
They feel lost.
Yeah.
And that's where Randstad's emphasis on upskilling
Comes in.
comes in.
Right.
It's not just teaching people how to code or build algorithms.
It's about making AI
It's about explaining it.
accessible,
Accessible.
understandable.
Understandable, addressing those anxieties.
Right. Demystifying it.
Demystifying it.
Yeah.
And think about what a more diverse AI workforce could bring.
Yeah.
Different perspectives.
Different lived experiences.
Different lived experiences.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that lead to
More innovative.
more innovative,
And inclusive AI solutions.
more inclusive AI solutions?
Absolutely.
It's not just about fairness.
It's about building better AI.
Building better AI.
Our
Imagine
an AI system.
an AI system designed to help with hiring.
Okay, yeah.
If the team who developed that is really homogenous.
They're going to miss potential biases. That could disadvantage certain groups.
That's a great example of why representation matters.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that the tech we create
Reflects the diversity
reflects the diversity of the society we live in.
of the real world.
But to do that,
We need to address those equity gaps
you got to address the equity gaps.
head on
Yeah. It's about leveling the playing field
so that everyone has a chance
so that everyone has a chance
to participate.
to participate in this AI revolution.
Absolutely.
We've been really focusing on France,
But this is a global issue.
but it's a global issue.
Yeah,
This gender gap in AI is everywhere.
it is.
What can we learn
From other countries.
from countries like India who seem to be making progress?
Yeah, what are they doing differently?
I think one of the big takeaways is intentional action.
Okay.
It's not enough to just hope things will work themselves out.
Right.
You need targeted initiatives
To promote women in STEM.
to promote women in STEM from a young age.
Yeah, start early.
Start early. Yeah.
Create those pathways.
Create those pathways
Support systems.
so young women can see themselves
as future AI innovators.
as future AI innovator.
That's crucial. And it's not just about getting more women in the field.
Right.
It's about making sure they have what they need to thrive once they're there.
The support,
The support, the mentorship,
the mentors.
flexible work arrangements,
Yeah.
a culture that values diversity.
Yeah. It sounds like India's showing us that this isn't just a nice to have.
It's a smart business strategy.
It's a smart business strategy.
When you have a more diverse workforce,
You get more ideas.
more perspectives, more
Yeah.
problem-solving approaches,
It leads to
better products,
better products,
better services,
better outcomes
better outcomes.
across the board.
So maybe it's lag in the French job market.
Isn't such a bad thing.
Isn't a bad thing.
Maybe it's a chance
It's a chance to reset.
to rethink how we want to build this industry. Do we want to repeat the same patterns of inequality?
Or do we want to create something different, something better?
It's a chance to be intentional,
Yeah.
to be proactive.
To create a future where AI benefits everyone,
Everyone.
not just a select few.
And that starts with a commitment,
To equity,
both in terms of access and opportunity.
access and opportunity.
Yeah.
And that commitment needs to come from all levels,
From governments,
from corporations,
from corporations,
from individuals.
from individuals.
It's about creating a culture where diversity is a core value,
a core value.
not just a buzzword.
Not just a buzzword.
Right.
And where AI is seen as a tool for empowerment,
Not a threat.
not a threat.
Right.
A tool that helps us solve the world's most pressing problems.
Absolutely.
But to get there,
We need to have these tough conversations.
Yeah.
We need to challenge our assumptions.
be willing to do things differently.
Yeah, be bold. Be creative.
and never stop.
Pushing for a more equitable and inclusive future.
It's a call to action for everyone.
Not just people in tech.
We all have a role to play
In shaping this technology.
in shaping this technology and making sure it benefits all of humanity.
That's a big responsibility.
It's a big
So
responsibility.
we should all take it seriously.
The future of AI is in our hands.
That's a powerful statement.
It is.
It is.
We've covered a lot today,
We have.
but there's one thing we haven't talked about yet:
And what's that?
the role of education.
Oh, that's crucial.
Right.
It is.
We've talked about upskilling and training within companies,
But what about preparing the next generation
the next generation.
for this AI-powered world?
It makes me think back to those generational disparities
From the Randstad study.
from the Randstad study.
Yeah.
Younger generations,
Are more comfortable with technology.
more comfortable with technology
But are they getting the education they need?
to really thrive in an AI-driven workforce.
That's the question.
That's the question.
It
And
is.
it's not just about teaching them technical skills.
Right? It's about
It's about critical thinking,
critical thinking.
problem solving,
Yeah.
and a deep understanding of the ethics of AI.
The ethical implications?
Yeah.
We need to give them the tools to not just use AI,
Right.
but to question it, to shape it, to make sure it's used for good.
So it requires a shift
A fundamental shift.
in how we think about education.
It's not just about memorizing facts and figures anymore.
It's about cultivating
Curiosity,
curiosity,
creativity,
a love of learning
a love of learning.
that lasts a lifetime
It's about preparing them.
for jobs that don't even exist yet,
I don't even exist yet.
jobs we can't even imagine,
That's both exciting
and a little daunting.
and a little daunting. That's why this conversation
And about AI and equity,
about AI and equity is so important.
it's not just about technology.
We're talking about the kind of future we want.
The future we want to create,
A future where everyone has the opportunity,
to reach their full potential, to reach their full potential no matter who they are,
no matter their gender, their age, their background.
where technology empowers us all.
That's a future worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
It is.
We need to remember AI is a tool,
Like any tool,
and it can be used for good or for bad.
it all depends on who's holding the hammer.
And that's why diversity and inclusion.
That's so crucial.
If we want to build an AI future that benefits everyone,
Everyone needs a voice
everyone needs a voice.
in shaping it.
It's not just about writing code,
It's about writing the future.
it's about writing the future.
And that's the story we can all be a part of.
And hopefully has a happy ending.
It has a happy ending.
Yeah.
That's a great point to wrap up on.
Okay.
We'll explore that more in our next segment.
It makes you wonder, if this lag in the French job market might actually be a good thing in the long run.
You think so?
Yeah, like a blessing in disguise.
How so?
Well, if companies in France are moving more cautiously, maybe it gives them a chance to learn from the mistakes of others.
They can look at, where AI has gone wrong in other places in terms of bias and equity,
Right.
and then take steps to avoid those pitfalls.
So they can build a better foundation from the get-go.
Exactly. They have an opportunity to create a more equitable and inclusive AI sector right from the start. Imagine the advantage that would give them.
It's like they're in this unique position to kind of leapfrog ahead.
Precisely. Instead of just trying to catch up, they could become leaders in responsible AI development.
That's a really interesting point.
It is.
But it also raises a question then, what can French companies actually do
to seize this opportunity?
to seize this opportunity? Yeah, what are the concrete steps?
Well, the Randstad study offers some good recommendations.
Okay.
And it all starts with upskilling, making sure that everyone has the chance to learn about AI.
Not just a select few.
Not just the engineers and the data scientists.
So it's about making AI knowledge more accessible.
Yeah, democratizing it in a way.
I like that.
And it's not just about teaching people the technical skills.
Right.
It's also about helping them understand what AI is, how it works, and what its potential impact could be.
It's about making it less mysterious, less intimidating.
Exactly, because when people understand AI, they're less likely to fear it.
Right.
And they're more likely to see the potential benefits both for themselves and for society as a whole.
That makes sense.
So yeah, education is key.
Education is key, but upskilling alone isn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Companies need to do more than just offer training programs.
What else do they need to do?
They need to create a culture where everyone feels welcome and empowered to contribute to this AI revolution.
So a culture of inclusion.
Exactly. A culture where diversity is truly valued, not just tolerated, where people from all backgrounds feel like they belong and that their voices are heard.
And that their contributions are recognized and appreciated?
Yes, because when people feel valued, they're more likely to be engaged and productive, and they're more likely to come up with those innovative ideas that can benefit everyone.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This brings us back to the gender gap in AI. We talked about India as an example of a country that seems to be making some real progress in this area. What lessons can France learn from their approach?
Well, I think one of the key takeaways is the importance of intentional action. India isn't just hoping that things will magically work out on their own. They're actively promoting women in STEM fields from a young age.
So it's about creating those pathways and support systems early on.
Exactly. It's about showing young girls that a career in AI is a real possibility for them, and it's about providing them with the resources and support they need to succeed.
It's about building that pipeline of female talent.
And it's about making sure that those women have the opportunity to rise to leadership positions within the AI sector.
Because without representation at the top,
Yeah.
it's hard to create real lasting change.
Precisely. We need more women in decision-making roles shaping the future of AI.
It sounds like France has a lot to learn from India's example, but it also sounds like there's a real opportunity here for France to become a leader in its own right.
Absolutely. France has this rich history of innovation and a strong commitment to equality. Those are incredibly powerful assets in the race to build a better AI future.
I'm optimistic that French companies will rise to the occasion. But what about the role of the government? What can policymakers do to support this effort?
The government has a crucial role to play in creating a supportive environment for AI development, and that definitely includes promoting equity and inclusion. There are a number of things they can do.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, first, they can invest in education and training programs that make AI accessible to everyone, regardless of their background.
So not just focusing on university level, but starting earlier.
Right, supporting STEM education in schools as well, and also creating opportunities for adults to upskill or retrain.
Making sure that everyone has the skills they need to thrive in an AI-driven economy.
Exactly. Second, the government can provide funding for research and development, specifically in ethical and inclusive AI.
So that would be funding for projects that focus on developing AI systems that are fair, unbiased, and benefit everyone.
Precisely supporting innovation that's aligned with our values as a society.
That makes sense. What else?
Third, the government can create incentives for companies to adopt these ethical and inclusive AI practices.
So rewarding companies that are doing the right thing.
Right. This could include things like tax breaks, grants, or other forms of financial support.
Okay, and lastly,
And lastly, the government can work to raise awareness about the importance of equity and inclusion in AI. This could involve public education campaigns, conferences, and other initiatives to promote a national conversation about AI and its impact on society.
so it sounds like the government has a lot of tools at its disposal to really make a difference in this area.
They do, and by using those tools wisely, they can help ensure that France becomes a leader in building a more equitable and inclusive AI future.
That's a powerful vision. But let's not forget about the individuals. What role can each of us play in promoting equity and inclusion in AI?
You know, this is where it gets really interesting because ultimately the future of AI isn't just in the hands of governments and corporations, it's in the hands of each and every one of us.
That's a powerful thought. So what can we do as individuals? What concrete actions can we take?
Well, first and foremost, we can educate ourselves about AI. We can read articles, listen to podcasts like this one, and attend events to learn more about what AI is, how it works, and what its potential impact could be.
Staying informed and engaged.
Exactly. Second, we can support organizations that are working to promote equity and inclusion in AI.
How can we do that?
This could involve donating to these organizations, volunteering our time, or simply spreading the word about their work.
Okay, so putting our money where our mouth is.
Right. And third, we can challenge bias and discrimination whenever we see it. If we encounter an AI system that seems unfair or biased, we can speak up and demand better.
Holding AI accountable.
Exactly. And finally, we can encourage young people, especially girls, to pursue careers in STEM fields.
We can be mentors. We can share our experiences.
Exactly. We can help them see the exciting possibilities of a career in AI.
Inspiring that next generation of AI innovators.
Because if we want to build a truly equitable and inclusive AI future, we need everyone on board. We need diverse voices, diverse perspectives, and diverse experiences.
And we need to start now.
Absolutely. The time to act is now.
Welcome back to Le Podcast de Philippe.
Mm-hmm.
We've spent this episode digging into the relationship between AI and gender equity, particularly here in France. And it really feels like we're at this critical juncture where France has a chance to forge a new path.
It's almost like they're at the starting line of a race that's already begun, but instead of scrambling to catch up, they have this opportunity to observe what's worked and what hasn't worked in other countries.
Yeah, it's about sidestepping those pitfalls, those biases that have unfortunately crept into AI systems elsewhere and building something that is truly equitable from the very beginning.
And let's face it, this isn't just about being altruistic, it's also about being practical. If France wants to be a true leader in the global AI landscape, they need to tap into the full potential of their workforce, and that means embracing diversity in all its forms.
This brings up something we haven't really addressed yet. What happens to businesses if they don't address these equity issues? What are the consequences for them? It goes beyond just ethics. There's an economic imperative here, too.
Absolutely. If companies limit themselves to a small, homogenous talent pool, they're missing out on fresh perspectives, innovative ideas, and a much broader understanding of their potential markets.
It's like trying to build a house with only half the tools you need. You might end up with something that stands, but it won't be nearly as strong or beautiful or functional as it could be.
In today's world where technology is constantly evolving, companies can't afford to settle for anything less than their full potential. They need to be agile, they need to be adaptable, and they need to be inclusive if they want to not just survive, but thrive.
So it sounds like addressing the gender gap in AI isn't just about doing the right thing, it's about making smart business decisions. It's about making sure your company is prepared for the future and doesn't get left behind.
Exactly. It's about realizing that diversity isn't just some feel-good initiative, it's essential for success. It's about creating workplaces that reflect the world we live in, workplaces that are ready to tackle the challenges of the future.
As we wrap up this exploration of AI and equity, I'm filled with a sense of hope, but also a feeling of urgency. France has a chance to really get this right, but it's going to require a collective effort. Businesses, the government, educational institutions, individuals, we all need to come together and commit to building a more equitable future.
And that future is within our reach. If we embrace the power of AI, but we do it responsibly, inclusively, and with a true commitment to equity, the possibilities are truly limitless.
It all comes back to recognizing that AI is about more than just algorithms and data. It's about people. It's about enhancing human potential, not replacing it.
And it's about ensuring that everyone has a chance to benefit from this technological revolution. That's the kind of future we should all be working towards.
So listeners, as we close out this episode, we want to leave you with a question. What role will you play in shaping the future of AI? What steps can you take, no matter how small, to champion equity and inclusion in this rapidly evolving field? We challenge you to think about, to challenge you to take action, and challenge you to be a part of the solution. Don't forget to subscribe to Le Podcast de Philippe on YouTube for more insightful discussions. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing for a better future.